that's a great question. And I always have to go, what's the golden rule? Whoever has the gold makes the rules. Where does the money come from is one of the, core questions of when you want to fund a project. So I like to look at the advertising industry. There are still a lot of companies out there that want to sell their products, but what doesn't work anymore? Commercials. You go on YouTube, how fast can you hit that skip button after 5 seconds? The commercial is dead. The younger generation is not watching them. There's really no need for them in broadcast. So it's kind of like, unless you're actually forced to watch them on streaming, which you're already paying for, how does the commercial, how do corporations or companies that are trying to get their products sold, how do they come back? And we actually almost are reverting back to the original form of television, because how did soap operas get their name? They sold soap. It was a opera that was sponsored by a soap company. So, but I think we're going to start seeing it a little bit stretch further, because the younger generation craves authenticity. So that's where corporations are kind of struggle. There's nothing that really matches storytelling with advertising. So, but you might start seeing in the future, like, say L'Oreal is like, well, we want to do a female empowerment brand. So, how do we get connected with a director who's doing a story in that sense? How can we get involved? So that's sort of one of the ways that I see, again, advertisers still want to sell their product. We're going back to the basics of how television was founded. So I think basically you kind of have to see it that way, is like, instead of trying to be complex and the money is coming from here and there and different sources, it's like, let's get back to what is the basic fundamental of how the economy used to work and how can we apply it to today's modern standards.
That it makes me think about one of the films in our portfolio, which is the Hershey movie, which is in post-production, will be out next year, and it's a true story of Milton Hershey and his entrepreneurial journey. But it's a sweet story, pun intended.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
We'll edit that.
Yeah, that's right. He doesn't love that joke. I thought it was supposed to be a dad joke. It's a mom joke.
Mouth,
yeah.
not in your hands.
Exactly. So the Hershey movie, but what's beautiful about it is the brand is going to get behind it the way Mattel did Barbie, in that, they're going to have rappers at activations at Walmarts and buy a Super Bowl commercial. And obviously it makes sense. It's the origin story of Hershey. But why Harbor got a part of it, because it's the impact side. Most people don't realize that Milton Hershey and his wife, Kitty, left their dynastic founding shares of Hershey to an orphanage that's now gone on to do $26 billion in funding for vulnerable children in education. So who knew we could all be having chocolate guilt-free? But I love what you're saying. But that's very on the nose, right? That's the founder story. So what you're talking about is a little different. And tell us, have you seen anyone doing that well in the market, in the wild?
So I know one company called Sugar 23, which is Michael Sugar, who did Spotlight. But he has already created a company where he's trying to connect brands with, I want to say not just filmmakers, but content creators as well, because it doesn't necessarily always have to be a film. It could be a streaming program. But, you just really have to get creative with it. You could put Coke in any background. You could have a vending machine in the background, or you could have a can. I've actually seen it where now with the advent of AI coming on the scene, where people are just putting blank cans, and it's like, we'll put in, when you watch this program, whatever, advertisement is being directed at you would actually go on the can. So if you had a preference to a beer or a soda or sparkling water, it would actually be presenting the material that you would prefer algorithm-wise. That gets a little...
It's like Minority Report when he's walking down that pathway, and that's all personalized.
And then Walmart just partnered with Vimeo, and they're getting to programming where you could watch your favorite show, hit pause, and if you're in the, I could buy your hat, I could buy your shirt, I could buy the chair, I could buy the piano in the background. So that's going to be sort of another phase of more interactive entertainment.